and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 goddamn times.
39. Oh, man. Welcome back to the Scrub Lord channel. Or is it Lord Scrub? I think I changed it a long time ago. Why am I going back to the Scrub Lord? But it is a bit of a sad video, guys, because just another reminder that what causes a person to snap, to rage out against the system, is when corruption destroys lives. We got a clip from Breaking News. This is Forbes, so shout out to them. Links in the description. We're gonna speed it up just by a little bit, and we're gonna see a father of a daughter who is unfortunately not with us. This was slightly under a month ago, and it is absolutely tragic what happened here, because he basically kind of just lets loose, like he is coming for change. And this is often what pushes people, right? You know, Batman Begins. People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and no greater example than one's own child. So with that being said, we're gonna react to the clip, and we're gonna talk about some scriptures that highlight what government, what policy, what law is in place for. But let's keep moving.
First, I want to make sure y'all knew my daughter. My daughter was Logan Federico. Okay? Yes, sir. Yes. Logan Federico. She was 22, visiting friends at the University of South Carolina. How many of y'all have kids? I'm just curious. Here's what I need you to do. When I tell you this story, think about your kids. Think about your child coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them, and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. Bang! Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 goddamn times.
39. Oh, man. And we're starting to see a lot of stories like this, a lot more. I mean, stop me if you haven't heard about the woman on the subway who was stabbed an absolute egregious amount of times. One is more than crazy, but to absolutely just target this seemingly random person because of the color of their skin, and just end them. And the video was very graphic. It's unfortunate, and the later details, this person was arrested like literally a dozen plus times, and he was on the streets for whatever reason. Like, what is going on with the law system? What is going on here?
25 felonies was on the street. How about that? How good are we doing for our family? How good are you doing for your kids? He should have been in jail for over 140 years for all the crimes he committed. You know how much time he spent in prison? A little over 600 days in 10 years. He's only 30 years old. He was committing 2.65 crimes a year since he was 15 years old, but nobody.
No, I'm going to be honest. You know, people will look at the Old Testament and see the law of Moses and think to themselves, wow, this man is really harsh. Why is the death penalty for this, stoning for that, like put away the evil from Israel there? And it's like, let these be situations that remind you why the law was so harsh in the first place. It's because it's supposed to put you in a state of fear to do evil. Because when it comes to people like these like routine offenders, like just like, okay, it's like Batman puts them in jail, this time, and then they're out by tomorrow at 12, and it's like, what is going on? Like, I know he defends here where they should have been in jail, but honestly, I mean, if we're just being blatantly serious, I mean, at some point, I mean, hey, maybe the jail ain't enough. I mean, the God's law doesn't seem to think so. That oh no, nah, like jail, that's kitty stuff. Nah, like you should have, like, the moment you put other individuals in danger, jeopardizing their livelihoods and their that like them as your fellow brothers and sisters, God seems to think you deserve a bit more fear, a fear that your life can be taken through death penalty. But I mean, hey, I did say I wanted to watch this clip and talk about the law and the necessity of enforcing it. So let's keep moving.
Could figure out that he couldn't be rehabilitated. Well, you'd have to put him in prison to see if he could be rehabilitated. Isn't that the idea of prison? But no, my daughter wanted to be a teacher. She finally figured it out 2 weeks before she was executed. And I haven't heard a damn word from Byron Gibson in South Carolina. Not one word. 4 months, no communication. His biggest concern was that he was pissed off about my interview and how I made him look on the Fox News channel with Trey Gowdy. How pathetic is that? That we're letting our 22-year-old kid visiting friends. It's all she ever wanted to do was visit friends. And she literally was executed while on her knees begging for her life. Her name's Logan Federico, not Irina. And you will not forget her. I promise you. You will be sick and tired of my face and my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. You need to fight for the rest of our children, the rest of the innocents, and stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us. Please. You have the power. We put you in the power to do what you have to do. We're asking you, we're begging you all to stop this. 39 crimes in 10 years, 25 felonies. Can anybody here explain to me, well, how possibly he could be on the street? Possibly be on.
That's crazy. There's more than him. There's a lot of these people on the streets. And don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say here, where it's like, oh, we should just destroy them all. Like, clearly there's, okay, the idea of mercy that people are trying to live out through policy and opportunity, but one has to ask, has it gone too far? Have you given out so much mercy that it is unmerciful to the innocent? 22 years old, gone, wanted to give herself to probably one of the most important services that one can do: teach, instruction, betterment of the minds of others. And now the world's slightly more dim, slightly more dampened by that, darkened by the loss. And it's like, how many? Because this isn't the only one. This is just a famous example of a father just getting up, like, on a mic and saying, "When will you do something?" What's funny enough, well, not even funny. That's righteousness. That's the call of the righteous. When are you gonna stop being corrupt or letting these situations happen, given that you are in power, you are in authority? But let's finish up, and then we'll talk about the text for a little bit.
On the street, how is it possible? I could sit down in a room and I could explain the whole process of how it failed, how South Carolina failed, Logan. Okay, how lack of communication. What y'all did? You woke up a beast and you pissed off the wrong daddy. Because I'm going to put it out there. And I'm not going to be quiet until somebody helps. Logan deserves to be heard. Everyone on this panel deserves to be heard. And we will. Trust me. My daughter laid on the floor for 7 hours before somebody in that house recognized that something was wrong. And that career criminal, an hour later, went on a spending spree with her debit card. When they saw his face on a video, they didn't have to do a check. He was arrested so many times, they knew who he was. They knew exactly where to go get him. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic that I'm here today. Thank you for your time.
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, I've seen some some police footage, or some police, like, because like the body cams are famous, and they let them out online for YouTube channels to demonstrate what all would have behind a case. And it's like, yeah, in some of these clips, people that you got such routine offenders that literally the cops know them by name. It's like, Daryl, what are you doing over here? What are you doing over here at 9 a.m.? And Daryl is slurring his speech, and he's like, I don't know. Get out of here. It's like, get out of here. Like, you might want to do a breathalyzer check on that guy, because clearly he ain't right in the head. And so it's like, it's sad, man. It really is. And so let's talk about the text. What is the role of government? What is government's operation, and who established it? Who put these people, who put this idea of authority in human hands together? Well, Romans chapter 13 verses 1 through 4 lets us know very clearly, let every person be subject to the governing authorities. Well, one of our favorite verses here at this channel, right? For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. So apparently, human authority to enforce peace is divinely instituted by God. That is what this verse has just told us. And because God put these in place for us, we ought to subject ourselves to this, to them, to authority. Verse 2, it says, therefore, whoever resists the authorities resist what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. In other words, God's backing these authorities to get after those who resist their institution, them being in place. You rebel against the law, you're supposed to be judged. The cop is not supposed to let you get away with the 20 grams of weed or the brick in your pocket of coke. No, he's supposed to bring you in, put the cuffs on you, right? Supposed to put you in jail, put you before a judge. Let him deal with you. Let's keep moving. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. In other words, this authority is supposed to be very scary. I'll tell you guys a brief story of mine. Let's just say I got caught speeding one time, and I had to stand before a judge. That cop gave me a ticket, and it's moments in your life that you never forget. It was a small little courtroom, but it's still like the idea of this person deciding what happens to me, and on the basis of my little traffic ticket, right, deciding like what I owe and what punishment suits my crime. I'll never forget it, because it changed. There are life-changing experiences, but let's just say that was one that made me realize the authority of this verse, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I thought going 10 over 10 of the speed limit, so above 10, so 20 plus was a bit of a good thing for me to get to work on time. Now I'm standing before a judge. Thank goodness I still have my job, but still, like, thank goodness, like, still, like, thank goodness they got me then. And don't get me wrong, like they gave, like, the judges was very very kind. They put me through the process of, hey, like, you need to do these classes, do community service, you need to give back, right? You need to do something productive, and we'll give you a lenient fee. And I was like, okay. And I actually went to a class and let me know, okay, yeah, like, driving the car is dangerous. I mean, go figure. The smallest of them are at least 1 to 2 tons, so naturally you're in a danger machine, basically. Like, and we watched a bunch of videos of individuals who lost their lives, and I took some tests and I studied. But the point is, I learned the reality of why these things are in place and why God has appointed them. Because yes, I was terrified. You should be terrified when you do a crime and not have to face a police officer who then issues a citation. Now you got the little paper of your court date, and you should be afraid. Right? This is a good thing, is what the Bible advocates for. But let's keep moving. Now then, would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? I certainly did that day. Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. And so we see here that very clearly authorities are in the service of God, or at least in service to God's will. They are coined as God's servant. Now, naturally, we know that like the church, aka the gathering of the believers, is God's servant in another way, right? The church of the firstborn, aka Christ Jesus. And so, what is this service to? Well, there's us, where we handle spiritual matters, and there's them, who handle matters pertaining to justice. This is God's servant for justice. Evil should be punished, and God said, well, I have this spiritual institution that lets people know the greater realities of sin. And then there's this authority where people have a right of passage to dictate what you ought to be punished with. Let's keep moving. So, would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. Meaning, the sword is not for show. A sword is a dangerous weapon. It does fatal damage a lot of the time. And if not, it does dangerous amounts of damage with just a little prick. Right? It draws blood. And so naturally, the imagery here is to highlight how, yes, the death penalty is something in human hands, and it's for God-given punishment. But let's keep moving. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. So let us start there, right? It's always good to start there. And we'll probably coin a few more verses, but I do think we need to understand 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9. So after we understand why authority is in place, why the law is in place, why it's good, and why we have this natural anchor towards it when it's not doing its job, let's understand this. Understand this, that the law is not laid down for the just, but for the lawless and disobedient. There are people on this earth that need to know, before you commit that crime, better think twice, because the time is costly to you. The world is evil, very much capable of potential good, right? I mean, I've even seen gang members with a code: no women and children, right? Potential good, but they're still lawless and disobedient. That's what the world is, and so naturally, the law is laid down, meaning it's enforced, because there are individuals who will abuse peace to get an advantage over others. Let's see, not just for the lawless disobedient, for the ungodly and sinners, for the unholy and profane, for those who strike their fathers and mothers, for murderers. Then it goes into a whole bunch of other stuff. Point is, nobody is safe. The law is that everyone is under the law. The law is to subject us. Now, naturally, firstly, there are levels to this. Though the government or authority is God's servant for the physical affairs of this world, naturally, this is highlighting how God has a divine law of which should impact all other laws. Right? Law of Moses to teach us right principles and definitely understand God's divine just scales, right? And so, it's a good thing that the law is enforced. Actually, we go to Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24. It says, whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Naturally, this is a parent and child relationship, but it lets us know you should not withhold discipline. It's never a good thing. The language of whoever spares the rod, aka the visible, like a physical form of authority, so of a euphemism to highlight your teaching, discipline, correction. Whoever spares the rod, who does not want to uphold teaching and actual kind instruction. Well, let me not say kind, because it's not always kind, but whoever withholds this, may have a sappy love for others, or their son in this instance, but naturally, in practical speaking, right, in practical application, hates, because you can have love in your heart, but love is dictated by character. And if you forego instructing character, good morals, well, let's just say you're leaving the child in this instance, or the criminal, to get worse. So naturally, he who loves others, he who loves his son, is diligent to discipline him. He who loves peace will enforce it, will let lawbreakers. And so naturally, though this is a parent and son relationship, parent and child relationship, it is giving us allusions to the reality of why we want justice, we want laws. So naturally, the scriptures tell us this in Isaiah chapter 10, verses 1 through 4. Woe to those who decree iniquitous decrees. Woe unto you who put corruption that forestalls the law, that undoes the law, that resists and therefore pardons justice, right? Woe unto those. But get this, and the writers who keep writing oppression. I like that, writing oppression. Your policies seem to be gentle at first, but unto who? The firmness of the law is the protection of the innocent, but the flexibility and weakness of the law is the protection of the criminal, right? Writers who keep writing oppression. How many people here know about like certain people on Capitol Hill who wants to institute policies? Maybe some cities, maybe some places that are run very differently that cause crime to escalate because they won't uphold the law. Let's keep moving. Turn aside the needy from justice. So the effect is those who are in need don't get the justice that they deserve. And to rob the poor of my people of their right. Rob them of their right. Your right is protection. These law itself is, law and authority is in place to protect you and I. That widows may be their spoil. So, rights come in many forms, right? Your individual rights and your rights to peace, liberty, and righteousness with the Lord. Widows. This is essentially alluding to the fact that if you not uphold the law, this will cause people to die. This will cause individuals to get swept up in crime and thus be collateral damage. That widows may be their spoil, and that they may make the fatherless their prey. Oh, that hits home today, doesn't it? That hit homes for this video, man. Fatherless, tragic, prey. That poor girl. There's so many like her. Let's keep moving. What will you do on the day of judgment in the ruin that will come from afar? Language is clear. You think you will escape the judgment of God? You were put in place to be of service, to giving peace, protecting the innocent, and punishing the wrongdoer. Do you think you will escape God's wrath? He is angry. To whom will you flee for help? Where will you go? You think your good works will stand? You think God will honor your service if there is corruption? And where will you leave your wealth? It's tragic how in so many positions of law, they're rewarded for their corrupt service. People who get upwards of 50,000 K, up 100,000 K, and it gets out into outrageous places from then on. I mean, even your basic cop. I saw an ad about 2 years ago in the county that I'm in, and they were highlighting how you can get paid 55,000 just to be a cop. And I'm like, if that's where they start at, I wonder how much a judge is paid. I wonder how much these lawmakers are paid. And it's like, what do you think your wealth will stand trial with you before God? There's not a lawyer who's gonna save you from the King of Kings, the Lord Jesus Christ. Let's keep moving. Nothing remains but to crouch among the prisoners and fall among the slain. For all this, his anger has not turned away, and his hand is still outstretched. I like this. I will end it on verse 4. It says, nothing remains but to crouch among the prisoners or fall among the slain. Meaning, understand the Lord's coming and he will have his way. And let's just say, it's not good. It's not good either way. It's not good either way. So naturally, what's the end result? Well, For all this, his anger has not yet turned away. So understand, the Lord wants justice, and he will have it. He will put you in the pits. Or if you repent, turn away, you will receive salvation. So change those ways, right? Because naturally, there's hope. And his hand is stretched out. The Lord has not closed his hand. Let's just say, when that happens, I would say pray, but in that instance, there is no prayers that can help you. So naturally, understand, like, when it comes to you and me, we understand the law is a good thing. We should be like this father who called out these people and their unjust complacency in keeping these laws, not further examining them and saying we need to protect the innocent, because man, fire of the righteous truly is well, what feeds the flame of the righteous is when unjust systems prevail over their loved ones. Sadly, this clip needs to be shared around more, because this is tragic what happened here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I hit the nail on the head, or do you think nothing can be done, we should give up? I tend to be on a bit of a different perspective when it comes to that. I think, hey, enough of us rally up, go out the proper channels, right, and advocate for the right policies, we'll see justice prevail in this nation. But as of right now, it's an uphill battle, and we need to, inspired by Jesus Christ, stand for truth. With that being said, that's all I have for you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and appreciate you for watching this video, and you have a good day. God bless and stay blessed. Take care.